It's over!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one!
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, you're watching Sports This Week and I'm Rupa Ramani. Here's looking at what made headlines in the week that was. We'll start with football and Luis Suarez, who's at it again. If he isn't biting anyone on the field, he's spitting on them. The toned-down version still not helping his side, who succumbed to a resounding defeat at the League Cup final. Has football been too soft on the Uruguayan? Is it time for a harsher punishment? Ahead of the Asia Cup, India has set the ball rolling on the Bronco Test for their cricketers, ushering in a new era for fitness, even as the neighbours, Pakistan, have cricketers saying they couldn't focus on fitness because all they were attending to do was play cricket. How different are the two sides when it comes to addressing something as important as fitness? Virat Kohli finally breaks his silence on the RCB Stampede. Was the silence too long? And is it time for us as sports fans to hold superstars in sport more accountable and answerable when it comes to concerns and issues that really matter? A Ukrainian Grandmaster has been banned and his title ripped after he was caught cheating. The plan seemed elaborate but flawed, with phones and a note being found in a bathroom. Is this punishment enough to warn others? And the US Open has been a potboiler of controversies. Here's another one to wrap up the week with. A man unapologetically snatched away a cap from a player gave to a kid in the audience, leaving the child in tears. What happened next will stun you. All of that heading your way. It was deja vu at the League's Cup final between Inter Miami and Seattle Sounders. For Miami, another heartbreak, the same old story of coming so close yet so far. Sounders defeated Lionel Messi's men 3-0. But more than the scoreline, it was the explosive spitgate that robbed all headlines, because once again, Luis Suarez, once branded the biter, returned in a new ugly avatar. He initiated a brawl and spat at a member of the opposing staff. The question writes itself: when will Suarez learn? And is it time football imposes a heavy ban on such behavior? Now first, let's lay out what really happened. Star-studded Inter Miami were gunning for the League's Cup trophy, but against the Seattle Sounders, even their best weapon seemed blunt. They were blown away 3-0, and instead of accepting defeat like a professional would, at the final whistle, Suarez let his temper boil over. It sparked an ugly confrontation with the opposition. But it didn't end there. Suarez engaged in a heated verbal spat with Seattle's Director of Security, Gene Ramirez, and then came the act that shocked everyone. Suarez spat at him. And here's the bigger picture. This is not an isolated outburst. This is a pattern, a history of repeated disgraceful behavior. 3 bites, 3 different players, 3 suspensions. In 2010 with Ajax, Suarez sank his teeth into PSV's Otman Bakal. In 2013 in the Premier League, he bit Chelsea's Branislav Ivanovic. In 2014, on the world's biggest stage, the FIFA World Cup, he bit Giorgio Chiellini. That last one forced FIFA to ban him from all football for 4 months. Now, you would think that was lesson learned, but we have come more than a decade since, and Suarez hasn't changed one bit. Sure, back then he was called a fiery youngster, but today, what's the excuse? Even this year, he was caught biting again, this time his teammate Jordi Alba. He thought Alba was his opponent. Think about that. This isn't passion anymore, it's a problem. And now with spitting, Suarez has once again crossed the line. And here's what makes it worse. This isn't even the first spitgate in MLS. Houston's Hector Herrera was banned 3 matches last season for spitting on a referee. Real Salt Lake's Jasper Lofelsen got a 2-match suspension for spitting at an opponent this year. So far, the punishments have been soft. Barely a rap on the knuckle, but Suarez, he's not a first-time offender, he's a repeat offender. And if MLS wants to protect the integrity of the sport, the punishment has to be harsh. Because this is no longer about just one spit. It's about Suarez treating this game and its rules with total disregard, like his own fiefdom. Luis Suarez should be a shining example for the next generation. In an era of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, he carved out his own legacy as a world-class forward. Instead, that legacy is being buried under controversies, anger, bringing disrepute to the game and his team. Now, if MLS wants to send a message, not just to Suarez, but to every other player, this is the time. Because for Inter Miami, it was a defeat. For Suarez, it was disgraceful. The Uruguayan may be running out of chances, but football is clearly running out of patience. And for MLS, this is the moment to decide: indiscipline or accountability. India is going hammer and tongs on player fitness. They've introduced the Bronco Test. We spoke about it just last month. It's inspired by rugby, one of the toughest endurance tests in sport. Meanwhile, our neighbours, Pakistan, instead of raising the bar, they're busy making excuses. One of their cricketers, Azam Khan, often criticised for being overweight, has now come up with a bizarre explanation for why he isn't focusing on his fitness. And that only exposes the stark difference between the two countries when it comes to maintaining gold standards in a sport with the intent to excel. Over the weekend, India conducted their first ever series of Bronco Tests along with the yo-yo, an initiative that was backed by strength and conditioning coach Adrian Leroux. So what's a Bronco Test? Here's a quick recap. It's a series of running bursts of varying distances. A set comprises 20 meters, 40 meters and 60 meter sprints. Cricketers are asked to do 5 sets of these. That's 1,200 meters in total. And this has to be completed under 6 minutes for the Indian players. As brutal as it sounds, it is one of the toughest benchmarks in modern sport.
It's one of the worst you can do. I've been doing it ever since I was 16 years old. In the cold winter mornings of South Africa in particular, so not a lot of oxygen and those lungs would burn.
Now, if one of the fittest athletes in cricket calls it a challenge, you know it's no joke. There were doubts about how the Indian players would handle it all, but guess what? Even India's ODI skipper Rohit Sharma, a man often trolled for his fitness, while the lack of it, not only cleared the test but reportedly impressed everyone with his timings. Nevertheless, forget the results. The very fact that something like the Bronco Test was introduced at all tells you how seriously India is taking up fitness. No exceptions, no favourites here. The same standard for everyone. You are no captain, no youngster or a seasoned campaigner when it comes to clearing the fitness test in this country. And across the border, the mindset couldn't be any different.
My weight loss won't happen in a couple of weeks or days. It needs time. For the past 4 or 5 years, I have been playing a lot of cricket, so I didn't have the chance to properly focus on my fitness.
Really too much cricket to focus on fitness? That's like saying I have been in a committed relationship for 4 to 5 years, so there was no time for love. Someone needs to tell him to play cricket, any sport in fact for the matter, at the highest level. You need to be fit in the first place. This attitude has haunted Pakistan cricket for years. Former director Mohammad Hafiz even revealed that before the 2023 World Cup. The management literally told trainers to ignore fitness tests.
I asked the trainer why the players aren't able to go through the tests. He said that the last management, comprising Mickey Arthur, Grant Bradburn and Babar Azam, asked him to put the fitness equation out and let the players play how they wanted to play till the World Cup.
The result? A group stage exit. And when foreign coaches like Gary Kirsten and Jason Gillespie tried to bring back discipline, they were shown the door. So what do you get? A culture where fitness is treated as an option, where players believe cricket and fitness are two separate things. That's the difference between India and Pakistan. India is setting global benchmarks. Pakistan is still searching for shortcuts. India's captain sets the tone. Pakistan's players look for excuses. India embraces hard work. Pakistan continues to live in denial. And yet their stars like Harris Roff claim they can beat India in the Asia Cup that's around the corner. But the truth is simple. Before the first ball is bowled, the gap is already there for all to see. Because in modern cricket, fitness is non-negotiable. And until Pakistan realizes that, they will never catch up. Because India is running laps ahead. Pakistan is still catching its breath. Silence can be deafening, especially when you want to be heard or when you want answers. And do you know when the silence is more disheartening? When it comes from the superstars that you've always idolized. India's biggest cricketing icon, Virat Kohli, finally broke his silence on the RCB Stampede. Now, while I'm certain it would have pained him to be a part of something that horrific, the question we have to ask is about the burden of silence, especially on the superstars of sport. How much does it weigh? While Kohli did respond, was he late? And the larger question, how does it impact fans and the public at large when your biggest sporting idols remain silent in pertinent matters? The RCB Stampede, in fact, was one of quite a few such occurrences in the country over the last year. The fact that it had happened for the first time in cricket was definitely a shocker for many. More so the people involved in this mayhem on both sides. So guaranteed it would have left many numb and speechless. But for how long really? Yes, it is difficult to fathom grief of this kind, of this magnitude, especially when the reason of the stampede that killed 11 and injured many was in fact you. That they all had gathered to see you lift that elusive trophy, one that had evaded Bengaluru for more than a decade. Kohli finally broke his silence, saying he was still hurting.
Nothing in life really prepares you for a heartbreak like June 4th. What should have been the happiest moment in our franchise's history turned into something tragic. I've been thinking of and praying for the families of those we lost. Your loss is a part of our story now. Together we will move forward with care, respect and responsibility.
Kohli is grieving, and that's understandable. But even so, we as humans place a larger sense of accountability and responsibility on the superstars, the so-called custodians of sport and ethics of the game. That's just the way it is, particularly when it comes to ownership. So silence can be difficult to accept. It happened last year when the Argentina football squad was caught in the eye of a storm. A racism row erupted with some of their players taunting France in a lewd, crass video that went viral. Yet nothing from the captain of the team himself, Lionel Messi, even if it was to admonish, considering he was not part of this. Fans criticized. There was a massive standoff that Argentina and France experienced, becoming a talking point at the Olympics last year. An act in football that created a rift between two countries. Opposition leaders reacted. Ministers were sacked for questioning Messi's silence. Yet the silence continues till today. Kohli at least responded. He was not directly responsible, but as the face and the soul of the franchise, he felt invested, and rightfully so. That's what you expect from the greatest stars you have grown up looking up to, idolizing. The biggest failing for such icons is when you cannot stand up for what is right. Take India's Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra. He's one of the top athletes in the world today. He's loved and respected by millions across the globe. Whenever it comes to key issues around matters that concern the public understanding of any controversy, he's never shied away. However unpopular the opinion could be. He doesn't mince his words and is the first to speak up when it truly matters or when he's invested in it. Unabashed and unwavering. While I agree it isn't easy always, it's definitely something one can strive for. After all, it is about legacy. What you do as a superstar to leave a lasting impact on generations that follow is little about what you do on the field and a lot about what you leave behind off it. And here's where silence is definitely not golden. Chess isn't just a niche sport anymore. It's exploding into the mainstream, reaching bigger audiences. And with that, it's carrying the same drama we see in other global sporting disciplines too. We've seen sledging here, booing, name-calling, and now cheating and suspensions. Yes, chess too has a dark side. Ukraine's Kirill Shevchenko has been banned for 3 years now. His Grandmaster title revoked, all for cheating. The incident happened in October last year, and the way he got caught, honestly, it'll leave you laughing. Here's our next report.
Chess today is more popular than ever. Teenagers are scripting history. New countries are making their mark. But with that growth comes the same issues every mainstream sport faces, from sledging to cheating to suspensions and fraud. In 2025 itself, we saw the West questioning India's meteoric rise in chess. A classic case of sledging an opponent you are wary of, just like we've always seen in cricket and football. Then came booing, the eSports Chess World Cup, where matches were streamed live with fan participation. In Saudi Arabia, Magnus Carlsen was booed while Hikaru Nakamura was cheered. Carlsen, though, had the last laugh, silencing the crowd with a win. But the real scandal broke when a Grandmaster himself was caught cheating. Not a rookie, not an unknown player, but Ukraine's Kirill Shevchenko, former world number 75. In March this year, he was banned for 3 years. But when he appealed, things only got worse. The ban stayed, and his Grandmaster title was stripped. A case of chopping his own feet off. Had he just accepted the ban, at least he'd still be called a Grandmaster. But after this, even that honor is gone. Here's how he got caught. During the Spanish team championship last year, officials found a phone hidden in the restroom. Next to it, a handwritten note that said, "Do not touch." The phone is left for a guest to answer at night. Seriously? This wasn't clever cheating. It was sloppy. Worse. He kept going to the restroom again and again, just as his opponent had suspected. Eventually, Shevchenko admitted to hiding the phone, but claimed he never used it. That's like a student saying, "I did the homework, but forgot to bring it." And that's the irony here. Chess today is no longer that quiet, serious sport played in silence. It has passion, like Magnus Carlsen punching the table in frustration. It is fun.
Oh my God.
The memes, the drama, the global rivalries that came after the Gyuk versus Carlsen showdown. It has emotion, like teenage sensation Divya Deshmukh winning the World Cup. And yes, it even has its fair share of scandals, like cheating in a toilet gone horribly wrong. While chess continues to amaze everyone, one of the fastest growing sports in the last year, it clearly isn't immune to drama. The glory, the passion, and the scandal are all there. This was just one chapter in the saga. What's left?
The US Open this year has been quite the newsmaker, from on-court spats and tantrums to off-court drama in press conferences. But the story today is around you, the fan, the young kids out there who have been thronging sporting arenas like the Flushing Meadows to watch your favorites. Even get lucky and get an autograph signed perhaps, or a photograph clicked. These are core memories that could inspire you or your children to get on the other side someday. But what happens when someone rips that away from you or your child, and unapologetically as well? A young kid was handed a signed cap by a player, only for the cap to be snatched away instantly by a man right next to him. The player didn't realize this as he got pulled into signing more autographs. The man, meanwhile, refused to return the cap, leaving the kid in tears. But guess what? This story actually blew up, to the man himself being exposed, and this news reaching that player who did the unthinkable. The next report has the lowdown.
America's CEOs and getting caught on camera, it's becoming a trend. Two CEOs, two very different meltdowns, all in just 3 months. First, back in June, the astronomer CEO who was caught on a kiss cam with a co-worker. At a Coldplay concert, the footage went viral. The internet had a field day. And now, enter the Polish paving company CEO Piotr Czerek, not on a kiss cam, but at the US Open. And this time, it wasn't a scandal with a co-worker. It was him snatching an autographed cap straight from a young fan. A CEO stealing a kid's memorabilia. You would expect a little more composure, right? But when it comes to sports fandom, even the bosses lose their cool. Here's what went down. At a US Open singles game, Polish player Kamil Marszak was signing autographs. After a gritty match, he handed over a signed cap. The natural assumption? It was for the young fan right in front of him. But before the kid could clutch his dream moment, Czerek, in full CEO mode, reached in, snatched the cap and kept it, leaving the young fan heartbroken. But here's the thing about big events. The cameras catch everything. And here's the thing about the internet. It never forgets. The entire cap-snatching moment was broadcast in HD, shared online, and played on loop until everyone knew the face of the man who ruined a kid's day. The backlash was instant. Fans were outraged. Memes were everywhere. The CEO initially kept quiet. But as the video exploded online and his name made headlines, he had no choice but to apologize.
I take full responsibility for my extremely poor judgment and hurtful actions. It was never my intent to steal away a prized memento from the young fan. Regardless of what I believed was happening, the actions I took hurt the young boy and disappointed the fans.
Safe to say, Czerek probably won't be lining up for autographs anytime soon. And it's not just him being careful. Players are learning too. Iga Świątek, the tennis superstar, has now started pointing clearly to which fan she's handing autographs, so there's no room for CEO interceptions. But the best part of this story is how it ended. The video didn't just reach the internet, it reached the player himself. Kamil Marszak found out what happened and decided to fix it. He reached out to the boy's family. He personally met the young fan, and this time, no snatching, no drama, just pure sportsmanship. He gave the boy a new signed cap and took photos to make it a memory worth keeping. So yes, this CEO drama had a happy ending. The boy didn't just get his cap back. He got a story he'll be telling for years about how a celebrity player came back just for him. And as for the CEO, well, let's just say he's now the face of what not to do at a tennis match. And sometimes the internet will make sure you learn that the hard way.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion kakaljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.